I'm Indy Nidell, and this is another exciting episode of Out of the Trenches, where I sit here at Justinian's desk for a change, next to my chair of wisdom, and answer all your questions about the First World War. Manuel Apollo writes, were there Italians living in Austria-Hungary from Trentino and Friuli regions serving in the Austrian government or army? How many escaped from Austria to serve in the Italian army? The Trentino especially had a decent-sized Italian population and communities that spoke either German or Italian. And those communities in the southern part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire that were culturally close to Italy had strong supporters of the Irredentista movement, right? And with their slogan, Trento e Trieste, they offered an open challenge to the empire. One prime example of those Italians was Cesare Battisti. Okay, he was born in Trient as an Austro-Hungarian citizen. He went to the university in Florence and Torino, and he was heavily influenced by the outlawed writings of Giuseppe Mazzini and the typical socialist nationalist mix many liberal Italian students shared at that time. But unlike Mussolini or Ptolemy, men like Battisti never shared the idea of fighting a war over the Trentino, but instead dreamt of overcoming the border issue through diplomacy. Okay, nevertheless, the war broke out and destroyed such hopes for a peaceful solution. Like many of his countrymen, Battisti joined the Italian army as an Alpino and wrote in his diary, thinking that it was for my home country. I want to be part of every advance. Quite poetically, his last attack in the summer of 1916 was towards the mountains of his old home country. But his regiment had to follow the classic Luigi Cadorna tactic of frontal assaults and was destroyed. He himself was captured, but this, you see, was also his death sentence. See, he was an Austro-Hungarian citizen fighting in an Italian uniform. As soon as the Austrians found out, Battisti was dragged out in chains and sent to Trient. He was sentenced to death for high treason and hanged the next day. The picture of his smiling executioner is actually quite famous, but I don't think we can show that because of YouTube. Flo, can we show that? Right? No?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, you can look it up for yourselves, right? Many Italians from Trentino shared Battisti's belief, but also had to accept the consequences. But how many exactly is very hard to tell. Rabbi Rakhed, oh, hey, Rabbi. Yeah, he came to meet us in Turkey. There can't be two of these, right? No. Okay, well, hey, Rabbi, what do you got? Okay. Could you please tell us more about the military missions to other nations, like the very well-elaborated German military mission to the Ottoman Empire? Excuse me. Were military missions an authentic historic feature of World War I? I mean, a concept that was never created before World War I, nor implemented after it. Your show is great, and so are you, TGW crew. Love from Beirut. Oh, yeah, he was from Beirut, so it's okay. Hey, Robbie. Everybody say hi to Robbie.
Hi, Robbie.
All right, he's a good guy. Let's see. During the Great War, military missions, they pretty much existed in two forms. Either they were a group of generals or officers that were sent to the front lines to learn, like the Japanese sent an officer corps to the Western Front, or military missions that were essentially auxiliary forces, but were officially tasked with teaching and supporting, right? That concept, in contrast to typical expeditionary forces or military attachés, was usually limited in terms of scope and engagement with the enemy. It had also existed long before the war, and it wasn't that unusual. The German Asia Corps is kind of unique in its character as a military mission during the Great War, especially Pasha I, which was basically a fighting force in and of itself, and probably more comparable to the German Lend-Lease during the Caporetto offensive with Austria-Hungary. Germany did not only lend officers, doctors, and specialists to teach the Ottomans German warfare, but soldiers as well, right? In that regard, they became quite essential for the Ottoman war effort and for the defense of Palestine. You can maybe compare it to the European engagement in Afghanistan nowadays. If you'd like to see our special about the German Asia Corps, you can click right here for that. And check out our subreddit, which has all kinds of cool extra World War I stuff. All right, see you next time.